I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this, but here I am. My name's Jake, and I've been with my wife, Emily, for about 5 years now. We got engaged 2 years ago, and the whole wedding planning thing was a mess from the start. Emily's a real handful, bitchy, manipulative, always throwing fits if things don't go her way. Still, I loved her, or at least I thought I did. She had this way of making me feel guilty whenever I wanted to do something for myself, but I let it slide because I was so into her. Our relationship wasn't perfect, but I always thought we had something real. We'd fight, sure, but we'd make up. That was until the wedding week. Everything started feeling off. She was more distant than usual, snapping at me over small things and acting weird around her phone. I didn't think too much of it, the typical pre-wedding stress, I guessed. But then, 2 nights before the rehearsal dinner, I caught her lying about where she was. She said she was at her sister's helping with some last-minute stuff. But I saw her phone light up in her purse when she thought I wasn't looking. I peeked and saw a message from some guy named Derek saying, "Can't wait to see you tonight, miss you already." My stomach sank. I didn't even know Derek, but the way she responded, "Me too. Can't wait to make it up to you," it felt like a punch in the gut. I felt stupid for not noticing the signs earlier, for not trusting that gut feeling. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything in my head. Her sneaky texts, her dismissive attitude when I'd bring up how she was acting. I started feeling like I didn't know her at all, like she'd been hiding this side of herself that I never saw. It's crazy. I was so hurt I almost couldn't breathe. Something was definitely wrong, and I knew I had to confront her. I needed to know how long this had been going on, what kind of betrayal I was dealing with. The next morning, I decided I wasn't going to let this slide. I waited until she came out of the shower trying to act normal, and I just asked her straight up, "Who is Derek? What's going on? Why are you texting him late at night?" Her reaction was instant. She rolled her eyes, scoffed at me, and said, "You're overthinking it, Jake. It's just some guy from work, nothing serious." But I could see her eyes darting away, avoiding my gaze. That's when I knew she was lying. No way she would get defensive unless she was hiding something. I pressed her, and she just kept spinning stories, saying she was only talking to him about work, that I was paranoid, that I didn't trust her. But I knew better. I felt it deep in my gut, the betrayal. I was furious, hurt, and confused all at once. The wedding was supposed to be a celebration, a new chapter. Instead, I was staring at the possibility that everything I believed in was a lie. The woman I married, the one I thought I knew, she was cheating on me with my best man of all people. It was like a sick punchline I never saw coming. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. After that morning, everything changed. I couldn't focus on anything else. I kept thinking about how Emily lied about Derek, how she had this sneaky double life. Never suspected. I started noticing more little things, her secretive texts, the way she would suddenly disappear when her phone buzzed, the way she always seemed on edge. Every time I looked at her, I felt this knot tighten in my chest. That evening, I decided enough was enough. I couldn't go on living in this fog of doubt. I needed to see the truth, no matter how much it hurt. So I waited until she was out of the house. She said she was going to run some errands, and that's when I snuck into her purse. I didn't want to, but I was desperate. I needed to know what she was hiding. Her purse was cluttered, full of makeup, receipts, and her phone. I reached in nervously, hands trembling. I found her phone unlocked. She always kept a passcode, but I knew it because she'd used it to text Derek earlier. I scrolled through her messages, heart pounding like I'd just run a marathon. It was worse than I expected. There were dozens of texts, mostly flirty, some downright explicit. She was talking about sex with Derek, about how good it was, how much she missed him. She even sent pictures, nothing explicit, but enough for me to know she was cheating on me, not just emotionally but physically. I felt like my world was crumbling. How could she do this? How could she betray everything we built? I'd never been unfaithful, never even considered it. And here she was, lying, sneaking around, cheating on me just days before our wedding. The rage bubbled up in me, but I held it back. I knew I had to be smart about what I was going to do next. I put her phone back where I found it, took a deep breath, and left everything as it was. I needed to think. I needed a plan. I knew I couldn't confront her like this, not yet. I had to gather my thoughts, see if there were more surprises waiting for me. But this was enough. Hell, it was more than enough to devastate me. I felt betrayed, sick, and stupid for ever trusting her. I thought I knew her, but now I realized I'd been blind. How could she have lied so easily? How could she have betrayed me at our wedding rehearsal dinner? That night, I couldn't sleep. All I could do was replay her texts, her sneaky behavior, and wonder how I'd let myself get so blindsided. The next day, I was a mess. I couldn't focus on work, couldn't stop thinking about what I had found. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, her lies, the way she looked at me like I was some idiot who wouldn't find out. I was furious, but mostly I felt crushed, like I'd been punched in the stomach repeatedly. I kept asking myself what I did wrong, wondering if I missed the signs, if I was just too blind or too stupid to see what she really was. I knew I had to confront her. I couldn't keep living in this state of doubt. I called her midday, trying to keep my voice steady, but I was on the verge of breaking down. I told her I knew about Derek, about her texts. Her reaction? Oh, it was classic Emily. She snapped, said I was crazy, that I was paranoid, that I was just jealous. She even threw in that tired line about how it was just sex, that it didn't mean anything, that she loved me and would never do anything to ruin us. I couldn't believe her. I mean, really, she expected me to buy that bullshit. I told her I wanted her to come home so we could talk, but she refused. Instead, she went into full defensive mode, saying I was trying to control her, that I was insecure, that she deserved better than this suspicion. She called me clingy and possessive, like I was the problem. That was when I finally snapped. I told her I knew she was lying, that I had the proof, and I was done messing around. That's when she started losing it. She screamed at me, told me I was overreacting, that I didn't know what I was talking about. She accused me of being paranoid, said I was crazy for digging into her stuff. Then she threw in the classic, "You're just jealous. You don't trust me because you're insecure." I wanted to punch her. Instead, I just hung up. I was done with her gaslighting me. I couldn't believe I married someone like her, someone so manipulative, so dishonest. Later that night, I sat alone in my apartment, my mind racing. I kept thinking about everything, the lies, the betrayal, the fact that she had this secret life I never knew about. I felt like I was in a nightmare from which I couldn't wake up. The worst part was knowing that I loved her, or at least thought I did, and now I was faced with the reality that she'd been deceiving me the entire time. I wondered how much of our relationship had been a lie, how much she'd manipulated me, and whether I'd ever be able to trust her again. The pain was overwhelming. I felt lost, betrayed, and most of all, completely humiliated. Over the next few days, the weight of everything hit me like a ton of bricks. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat properly. Every time I tried to talk to her, she'd either deny everything or turn it around on me, calling me crazy, insecure, or jealous. It was like talking to a wall. She kept insisting she loved me, that it was a mistake, that it was just sex, that Derek was nothing serious. But I knew better. Her lies were too blatant, her excuses too flimsy. I started noticing more things. Her phone kept ringing late at night, her getting defensive when I asked where she was or who she was with. I found her secret stash of condoms hidden in a drawer. That was the final straw. How could she pretend everything was fine when she'd been cheating on me right under my nose? My trust was shattered, and I felt like I was in a free fall I couldn't stop. One night I decided I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I needed to get to the bottom of this. I set a trap, pretending everything was normal, then casually asked her about her plans for the weekend. She hesitated, then said she was going out with some friend, specifically Derek. I kept my cool, but inside I was boiling. I told her I wanted to come along just to surprise her. She shot me a look, then said no, that she wanted a girls' night, and that I was being paranoid again. That's when I knew for sure. She was hiding Derek even from her supposed girls' night. She was lying to my face again. That night I decided I had enough. I couldn't keep living in this lie. I texted her to meet me in the living room, told her I needed to talk, something serious. When she finally came out, she looked annoyed, like I was bothering her. I looked her straight in the eyes and told her I knew everything, the texts, the condoms, her secret meetings with Derek. Her face twisted into this angry, bitchy expression. She scoffed and said, "So what? You're just jealous because I'm better in bed than you ever were." That stung worse than anything else. She dismissed my feelings like they were nothing. I told her I wanted her out. I said I couldn't be with someone who lied, cheated, and treated me like I was nothing. She threw a fit, yelled that I was overreacting, that I was making it all up in my head. But I had enough evidence, enough to know she was lying. I told her she could pack her bags and leave, that I deserved better than a selfish, cheating woman. And when she finally stormed out, leaving her bags behind, I felt a strange mix of relief and devastation. I'd finally confronted her, but I knew this was just the beginning of a long, painful road ahead. After she left, I sat alone in the apartment feeling like I'd been punched in the gut one last time. The silence was deafening. Every noise, every creak of the floorboards reminded me of what I'd lost. I kept thinking about all the times I'd trusted her, all the promises she'd broken, all the moments I thought were real but turned out to be lies. I felt so betrayed, so humiliated. How could she have done this to me, right before our wedding? Right when I thought we were building something solid? The worst part was the aftermath, knowing I'd have to face my friends, my family, everyone who thought we were the perfect couple. How do you explain something like this? How do you tell people your wife cheated on you with your best man? I felt so stupid, so naive for not seeing the signs earlier. All those subtle hints, the late-night texts, her sudden mood swings, they all meant nothing to me until now. I started questioning everything I believed in. Over the next few days, I did what I could to get some clarity. I reached out to my best man, Mike, just to hear his side. He was honestly a mess himself, apologizing, saying he didn't mean for any of this to happen, that he was just as blindsided as I was. That made me feel a little better, knowing it wasn't just her twisting the knife. It was both of them. But I also knew I'd have to face the fact that my trust in both of them was shattered beyond repair. I spent nights trying to piece everything together, trying to decide what my next move was. I thought about confronting her again, maybe trying to get some closure. But honestly, I was exhausted, emotionally drained. I realized I needed to focus on myself for a while. I couldn't fix what she did or undo the damage. The only thing I could do was decide how to move forward. I started looking into lawyers, thinking maybe separation was the only way. My head was a mess of rage, sadness, and confusion, swirling around all at once. That's when I finally accepted that I had to let go of her, even if it hurt like hell. I knew I deserved someone honest and loyal, not a liar and a cheat. I felt a strange sense of relief mixed with heartbreak. Whatever was left of me now, I knew I'd never trust her again. She betrayed me at our wedding rehearsal dinner, and honestly, I don't know if I'll ever forgive her for that. But one thing was clear. If I was going to survive this, I had to start rebuilding from the ground up. And yeah, it was going to take time. A lot of time. In the end, I realized that trust, once broken like that, isn't something you can just patch up with apologies or promises. It's shattered, and no matter how much someone might want to fix it, some damage just can't be undone. The betrayal at our wedding rehearsal dinner was the final nail in the coffin. I think what hurt most wasn't just that she cheated, though that was enough to kill what little faith I had left. It was the fact that she lied, manipulated, and dismissed everything we built together. She made a mockery of our vows, our future, everything I thought was real. Looking back, I see how I was blind. I ignored the red flags, convinced myself she was stressed or just acting weird because of the wedding. I let her manipulate me into thinking I was overreacting. But now I know better. I know that I deserved honesty, loyalty, respect. Not betrayal, not lies, not a woman who could lie so easily and then try to gaslight me into believing I was the crazy one. I've learned that sometimes the only way to truly move forward is to let go of the past and accept the pain. I've started focusing on myself, therapy, reconnecting with friends, rediscovering what makes me happy outside of her. It's been a long, painful process, but I'm beginning to see a way through the wreckage. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I won't let this define me. If there's one thing I'd say to anyone else going through something similar, it's this: trust your instincts. Don't ignore the signs, no matter how inconvenient they are. And remember, it's okay to walk away from someone who betrays you, no matter how much you love them. You deserve someone who respects you, who values honesty, and who doesn't destroy everything at the first sign of trouble. Because in the end, the only person responsible for your happiness is you. and you don't have to settle for less than what you deserve.